What if the stranger you spoke to without knowing his name turned out to be the one person who could rewrite your entire destiny? The airport was chaos that morning. Luggage carts, rattling announcements, echoing travelers, rushing past a tired young woman named Anna stood by the arrivals gate, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Mr. Williams, her job as a temporary chauffeur. Barely paid enough for rent, but she didn't complain, it was honest work, and her sick mother's medicine wasn't going to buy itself." Her uniform was clean but worn, her hair tied neatly under her cap. She kept checking her watch, knowing she couldn't afford to mess up again. A tall man in a black coat walked past her, scanning the crowd. He looked confident, important. The kind of person who didn't wait for anyone. Anna hurried over before he could disappear. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you Mr. Williams?" He looked surprised, then smiled faintly. "That's one way to start a conversation." She frowned. "We need to hurry, sir. The cars parked outside, the other passengers are already waiting." He hesitated but nodded, amused. "Lead the way, miss." In the car she drove through the city quietly, the man sitting in the back seat typing on his phone. "You seem new," he said casually. She nodded. "It's my first week, sir. I'm still learning routes." He smiled. "You seem like someone who learns fast." She shrugged, trying not to sound nervous. "I have to. My mother's hospital doesn't wait for my mistakes." He looked up from his phone, his voice softer. "I'm sorry to hear that." She shook her head. "It's fine, sir. Life's just a long road, right? You just keep driving until it takes you somewhere better." He stared at her reflection in the mirror, a strange mix of curiosity and respect. In his eyes they arrived at a luxury hotel. Anna parked and hurried out to open his door. Just as she reached for his luggage, another car pulled up behind them. A real chauffeur stepped out, holding a similar sign. "Mr. Williams." And that's when Anna froze, her stomach twisting. The man beside her turned to the other chauffeur, smiled slightly, and then looked back at her, his voice calm. "So if he's my driver, then who are you?" Anna's face turned pale, her throat tightening. She stepped back, stammering. "I'm so sorry, sir. I mean, your name wasn't clear on the board." He raised an eyebrow, amused, not angry. "Interesting mistake," she whispered. "I'll leave now, please forgive me." She turned to go, but his voice stopped her. "Wait, you're already here. Finish what you started. Drive me to my meeting instead." Her eyes widened. "I can't, sir. I'll lose my job." He smiled slightly. "Or maybe you'll find a better one." She hesitated, then nodded uncertainly. The real chauffeur looked confused, but the man waved him off with a calm gesture. "It's fine, she'll take it from here." He slid back into the car as if he'd done this 1,000 times. Anna gripped the wheel, her hands trembling. She didn't know who this man really was, but there was something about him that felt powerful, silent yet aware. They drove through the city without speaking, until he said softly, "You said your mother's sick. What's she being treated for?" She glanced at him in the mirror. "Lung disease, sir. She's been in and out of hospitals for a year." He looked down for a second, his voice quieter. "That's hard," Anna nodded. "It is, but I still have her. That's enough for me." They reached a towering glass building. He stepped out. She rushed to apologize again. "Sir, please, I'm really sorry for wasting your time." He looked at her, smiling faintly. "You didn't waste anything, you just reminded me what honesty looks like." She blinked, confused, before she could answer. He handed her a card. "Call this number tomorrow. Tell them Daniel sent you." She looked at it, puzzled. Daniel, who? He smirked. Daniel Ross, the name hit her like thunder. She had seen that name on every billboard across the city. Daniel Ross, billionaire, CEO of Ross International, the man whose companies practically owned half the airport. She froze, unable to speak. He smiled one last time and said, "Next time, make sure you know who's getting in your car." Anna stood on the curb, staring at the card in her hand as his car disappeared into the stream of traffic. Her heart pounded. Daniel Ross, the Daniel Ross. She looked down at the business card, simple white bold letters. Ross International Executive Office. She couldn't believe what had just happened. She'd called a billionaire, sir, for an entire hour without knowing who he was, and worse, she'd ordered him around like a passenger. She pressed her hand against her chest, whispering, "I'm fired. I'm so fired." That night she told her mother everything. Her mother smiled weakly from the hospital bed. "Maybe it wasn't a mistake, Anna. Maybe it was meant to happen." Anna laughed softly. Yeah, sure, Mom, billionaires love being treated like chauffeurs. Her mother squeezed her hand gently. You have no idea how fate works. The next morning, Anna almost didn't call the number, but curiosity won. She dialed hesitantly. A calm voice answered, Miss Anna. We've been expecting you. Please report to Ross Tower at noon. She froze. Expecting me, she asked. Yes, ma'am, Mr. Ross insisted. She arrived at the skyscraper, nervous hands sweating. The receptionist smiled as if she'd been there 100 times already. Take the elevator to the top floor. He's waiting when the doors opened. Daniel stood by the window overlooking the city in the same black coat, sunlight catching the edge of his watch. He turned with a small smile. I was wondering if you'd call, she stammered. I didn't think you were serious. He chuckled. I'm rarely not serious. He gestured to the chair. Sit. She sat awkwardly, trying not to fidget. He said, I have a driver already, but I need something more valuable. Someone with courage and honesty. Someone who speaks the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You fit that description. She blinked, confused. I don't understand. He smiled. You talk to me like a person, not a position. No one's done that in years. I need an assistant who reminds me what that feels like. I'm offering you the job. Her jaw dropped. I'm just a driver, sir. I don't know anything about corporate work. He leaned forward. You know how to treat people with respect. That's rarer than a business degree. She hesitated. Sir, I don't think I can do this. He smiled. You'll learn. The days that followed felt like a dream. Anna stepped into a world she had only seen through the tinted windows of rich people's cars. Daniel kept his promise. She became his personal assistant, though at first she couldn't understand why he trusted her with meetings, calls, and even travel plans. She worked hard, but stayed quiet, never sure how long her luck would last. The office buzzed with whispers. Who is she? How did she get hired? No one could believe a former chauffeur now walked beside the CEO. Daniel, however, treated her differently than anyone he listened. When she spoke even about small things like which charity needed help or which worker looked tired, he watched her more than she realized, noticing how she never lied. Even when the truth hurt one afternoon after a long meeting, he asked, Do you still visit your mother? She smiled. Yes, every night, he nodded. That's good. She must be proud, she shrugged. Maybe she'd be more proud if I could afford her full treatment. Daniel looked thoughtful, but said nothing. The next morning, Anna arrived to find an envelope on her desk. Inside was a hospital receipt and a handwritten note, all covered. No debts remain, D. So her eyes filled with tears. She rushed to his office, clutching the note. Sir, I can't accept this. He looked up from his papers calmly. You already did. She shook her head, angry and grateful at once. You can't just fix people's lives with money. He smiled softly. Then what should I use? She fell silent, unsure how to answer. He continued, I didn't do it out of guilt. Anna, I did it because sometimes power is only worth something when it heals, not when it hurts. That evening, as they left the office together, a sudden storm drenched the city. He offered his coat. She refused, laughing through the rain. I'm used to getting wet, sir. He smiled. That's what you said the first day I met you at the airport, remember? She looked at him. The rain sliding down her face. I thought I'd lose my job that day. He stepped closer. No, you found your purpose. The elevator lights reflected in her eyes, the city glowing beneath them in that quiet moment. Both of them knew something had changed. It wasn't just gratitude anymore. It was something deeper, something neither could name yet, but both could feel like destiny, quietly rearranging their lives. If this story made you smile, share it with someone who needs a reminder that accidents can turn into beautiful beginnings.